you create a Zoom link so that Chad can join us by Zoom for the executive staff? Hi, Max.
How you doing?
I'm kind. How are you?
Good.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I was trying to get hold of I was crazy on the people, but the phone either connects and then nobody says anything or it doesn't connect. So. Can't tell them. And are you ready?
I'm good.
Are you ready? Bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to today's Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority. It's November 3rd, 2021, about 2:05 in the afternoon. We are in the Providence City office building at 164 North Gateway Drive in Providence. This meeting is streaming live on Providence's YouTube channel. The members present, we have Rob Stapley, our Public Works Director. I'm Scarlett Bankhead, the City Administrative Services Director, and Max Pierce, our City Engineer. We also have Ryan Snow, our City Manager, Tyler Cameron, our City Recorder, Diane Campbell, our Zoning Specialist, and April Fredrickson, our Code Compliance and Stormwater Specialist. We've got 2 items on our agenda. It looks like Todd is here for the first one. The first item, then both of these are continued items. The first one, the Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority will consider for approval a request by Kittenser Construction for Kurt and Kathleen Sorensen to extend the time frame to complete the condition requiring an easement for the sewer service lateral at 445 South Edgehill Drive in Providence. And Diane, do you want to chat about this one for just a minute? Todd, did you get a copy of the agenda?
I think so, but sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, this is a continuation of an agenda item that we had last week. Conclusions of law just include Providence City has the authority to impose reasonable conditions to mitigate anticipated detrimental effects of the proposed use. The conditions, the applicant will provide documentation that a sewer easement has been recorded for the lots west of the subject property before a certain C of O is issued. This is an extension to the previous condition of providing easement documentation before zoning clearance is issued. Approval by the city of any submitted application or paperwork does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform with local, state, and federal law.
Thanks, Diane. Do you want to take a minute and explain why you're asking us to do it, to tie this to C of O instead of zoning clearance?
The situation is a lot of it's due to weather of digging the foundation, and the surveyors are out 3 weeks, and the tile company is another 3 to 4 weeks. And we get all that information to them, and that puts me clear into December, and frost and stuff like that.
So the question is,
Yes.
and I wasn't here last week, but I did go back and listen to your meeting. So our question is, are we willing to change that condition from last week to tying it to certificate of occupancy instead of zoning clearance. Either of you want to make a comment about that?
I think it sounds like a fine plan.
I don't have a problem with it on the surface. I always just worry about follow-up. Our concern is how do we make sure that, you know, it gets followed up with. It's not typical that we're looking for easements at C of O. So
Right.
If we give Paul a heads up beforehand, that would probably help a lot. Just tell Paul and with the county.
Is he the Paul inspector?
So on our zoning clearance, let's make sure that the record of decision that goes along with the zoning clearance, let's make sure that it's probably on hold so that he can see that he's got to contact us. They try and contact Rob most of the time to make sure of public infrastructure checks, but we may not think about the easement. So let's make sure that's on there.
And
And
the
then,
process already started. I mean, I've already contacted the surveyors. I mean, it's already rolling. It's just time.
well, that's the other thing I was gonna say, is please don't wait
No, it's,
till CFO, please. Let's just keep moving on that, and then as soon as you can get it to us in the end of this month or into December, then we will get that over to Paul to let him know that that's taken care of, and then we don't have to worry at CFO time, so.
Yep.
Alrighty, then I would entertain a motion to grant the request by Tittenser Construction for Kurt and Catherine Sorensen to extend the time frame to complete the condition requiring an easement for the sewer service lateral at 445 South Edge Hill Drive to be that it has to be done before certificate of occupancy.
I'll make that motion.
Sounds like it.
Motion by Max Pierce, second by Rob Stakely, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thanks for
Awesome.
taking the time,
no,
Todd.
thank you guys.
And did you call Steve? Your phone? No, my phone isn't reliable enough to, it's just a phone call. I know, but my phone doesn't.
I don't
stay
have my phone.
connected to the
Use
mobile.
Rob.
Well, remember,
Hang on.
Okay, it's 435-754-5350. Put him on speaker, I guess, if he answers. Hope he answers.
Leave your message for 43575.
Let me go make sure he didn't.
Yeah. Sure.
mailbox is full.
Send me an email. Yeah, I tried to leave him a message. Oh, man, I tried to return his call, and that's what I got to do.
Want me to text him?
Yeah, that would be great. Give him Rob's phone number and tell him to call in on that.
We could have him calling on the Zoom line too,
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
if he's calling in.
Rob, what's your number?
435-881. We're live.
Absolutely. It's on camera too.
214.
Sorry.
I would have written that one down and passed a note.
Got me already anyways.
True.
So while we're waiting, I'll just review what our agenda item is. We are item number 2 on our agenda is that we are going to consider for approval a request by Stonegate Homes for Adam Paul for retaining wall. Okay.
You just have to have your phone, Rob.
Hey, is this Steve? Rob Staples with Providence. We're in a meeting that we'd like you to join if possible.
Yeah, so I just wasn't sure. I was on the line with Derek downstairs. So,
Always tell you. Oh.
Okay, well,
I can't find anywhere quieter than where I am. So,
that sounds quiet enough for our purposes.
okay.
Hello, Steve. So let me introduce the topic and then we'll bring you in just a second.
Okay.
So we will consider a request by Stonegate Homes for Adam Paul for a retaining wall located at 1249 Hidden View Drive in Providence. This is another one that was, is a continuation of last week's meeting. The condition was that, and we have Steve Copeters joining us by phone. Steve, you want to introduce yourself on the mic just so they know I'm not picking it up?
Yeah, this is Steve with Stonegate Homes, joining remotely.
Okay. And Diane, do you want to give us a quick overview?
Yes, this is a continuation from an item from last week. We needed some more discussion on the retaining wall, and Paul needed to, or Steve needed to submit a new site plan with better dimensions on it, as well as get the stakes surveyed for the lot. And I believe he's done that. He's proved that he got it surveyed, and he sent a new site plan, and that should be in the packet.
So again, I wasn't able to attend last week's meeting. I did go through and listen to the minute, or listen to the meeting. And the motion was to continue until we receive the information. So my question for you is, do you feel like the information that you've got is adequate for what you're needing?
I do. The note that's been added to the site plan, at least that I see, is no more than 4-foot exposed foundation allowed on the downhill side within the 10-foot setback that faces the adjoining property. So, yeah, to me, that would meet the ordinance. That was our main concern, I think, with that wall.
Correct. And knowing exactly where the lot corners were in order to make sure we've got that measurement right. And you've had it staked or restaked, so you know right where that corner is.
Yeah, Alliance Engineering went out and restaked it, and that T-post was within a couple inches of the actual corner, so that it ended up being pretty accurate. And I did measure based on the property line as it goes east-west, and the current form is set with the engineering that we had, that we would be at 9'6". And so I have that letter that I got from the engineer that says that we can scoot that wall back on the footing as it sits, so that the footing wouldn't have to be changed. Just the vertical placement of the rebar could be scooted back as much as 8 inches, he said. So that would put us within or outside of that 10-foot easement at that corner.
So outside of the 10-foot setback, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, it was 10-foot setback.
Okay, outside of the 10-foot setback, and then you're definitely outside of the 20-foot rear yard, right?
Yes, yes.
Because you're on the east side of the retention pond, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mostly that north corner as the wall goes back towards the house, and making sure that we didn't have exposed wall that faced the neighbor's property, even though it's down low on the property and they've never seen it from the house, just to stay within, meeting the requirements of the current code.
Okay. I went back and looked on the original condition for that house.
Yeah.
And it could be that the recorder's office is a little behind, I'm not sure, but I want to verify because one of the original conditions was that both parcels that Adam Paul owns be combined into one parcel. But when I look at the county records, they're still showing two separate parcels. So that has to get done before, since it's not done yet, I really am almost tempted to say that's got to get done before you get your retaining wall permit, but I don't want to do that, but
This retaining wall sits wholly on the one parcel number. And we are going to combine those two, but they're also the homeowners in the process of getting more land from on the north, or sorry, on the south side between Rob Campbell's place and his. That land, when that road was abandoned, part of that land that was given to Rob Campbell, part of it to this lot,
right.
that Rob was like, well, I don't really want the land. And so this homeowner was taking a portion of it, and that's all supposed to be being handled through Alliance right now as well. And so with that, we can certainly combine all of this into one lot with one parcel number. That kind of was thrown at me at the last minute as well. But certainly with the recording of the property at the end, the banks would obviously put that as a single serial number. If it needs to be done beforehand, we can push that along. But this retaining wall sits solely on the one parcel number.
Well, I don't see how it can be only 10 feet off the property line and be sitting only on the one parcel number. Because the site plan that's shown looks like both parcels are put together. So,
Yeah, the back corner, I don't think changed, did it? The southwest corner, I didn't think it grew. I thought we just gained a wedge. Maybe it did. I can't remember. It's been so long ago since we did that.
yeah. So that's an amended final plat. I mean, that's a little bit of a process to change those property lines, which that's great. Not for him to absorb this lot into his property, because that's the way it was actually supposed to be done from the get-go. But if he's going to acquire more property from Robert Campbell, then that's going to be an amended final plat.
Yeah.
I want to clarify something though, because when you said the wall sits wholly on that parcel, I don't think that's accurate, because on the site plan, it does show that old property line. You see it right here, Scarlett, the old property line being right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be the case.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it goes on to both parcels.
Yeah, the old property line, actually, the house, the southwest corner of the deck is on the triangle piece. So even a portion of the house is over on that
Yeah.
Triangle piece. So
Okay.
that,
So should that be done, then should this also be a condition of C of O or something like that, so that we don't wind up with a home over the top of a property line or something?
yeah, we've got to have something. When do you figure you're going to have this wall completed?
Well, they're ready to pour the footing immediately, and then we're trying to get the wall immediately following that. So, so I have to build this retaining wall to be able to even level the lot to start building the house.
But you haven't started on the house yet.
No, we had nowhere to put the dirt until we moved the retention pond. Then once we've moved the retention pond, even with the overburdens, we would have buried the retention pond. So to keep the retention pond from being dirtied up by our overburden, then we've got the homeowner to agree to build this retention wall so that we have somewhere to put all the dirt, level the yard. You know, and it's going to benefit them in giving them more of a level yard, but otherwise we have to truck all the dirt off of the property. And then we have to do that from down below. So we got to cross other people's property. And there's just a lot of things that happen if we remove all the dirt and then have to bring all the dirt back, but they still wouldn't have a level backyard. So that's where this retaining wall came in, because it allows us to just continue forward building the house and giving them a more stable yard and a more stable building site.
So I think in order for them to combine the properties, I think they can do that relatively quickly, actually. So I honestly think they ought to do that before you start building that house. I know you've got zoning clearance for it, but this was a condition in order to get the zoning clearance that they be taken care of, that be combined. So,
Yeah, and I apologize. I thought that it would, as long as it was combined by the time we received the certificate of occupancy, which obviously the lending company for the loan, they're not going to lend on two separate parcels, so it's going to be combined at the time of closing. But I can certainly push it forward. It's just we've reached delay after delay after delay getting the house started. We're coming up on bad weather and all that stuff. It's going to cause it to be even more difficult to build on hillside. So if there's any way that we can approve this retaining wall with the condition of having that handled as quickly as possible, independent of them adding any more land to it or anything like that.
I'm gonna ask again, how soon before you start on the house?
As soon as I get this retaining wall poured and then it cures for 21 days,
Okay,
I can.
then they have 3 weeks. That would be my suggestion, is that they have this done within 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, what do either of you think?
Sure be cleaner.
Yeah, as long as that's a reasonable timeframe. Yeah.
I have no idea what the county recorder how long that process would take. Because if we're not, usually it takes when you got to abandon utility easements between lots. And if we're not abandoning utility easements between lots because they own both of them and we're just abandoning a lot line adjustment or something, it should be a fairly simple process, but
Right,
Doesn't it have to come through the city though or not?
it already was,
Oh,
when we vacated the road, and then
I got you.
and then the deeds, this deed was supposed to have been recorded as part of the lot originally, and that's why, and it's,
Yeah.
and it's not you, Steve, I know, but we've already been through this twice, and I just don't feel like we ought to do it a third time.
well,
So,
I can make sure it happens because I wasn't part of it in the first 2 times, so we can make sure it happens this time. So he's got a real estate agent helping him, and both of us were a little confused over why the county recorded 2 separate parcels instead of 1, but that's the way it was done, and they were assigned a parcel number, so we could certainly push that, and I can be more of a catalyst in that. I've kind of left it to other people because I wasn't hired to combine their lots. I was hired to build them a house. So,
right,
but I could certainly push that because if it's holding me up from building the house, I will resolve the problem immediately.
well, I don't want to make it so tight that, but by the same token, I just want it cleared up so that there's no question that you're violating anything by building over a property line. So,
Okay.
so what do either of you gentlemen think is fair?
Yeah, I would agree. Let's go ahead and have a condition that it be done before the house gets started.
Okay, all right, so then I would entertain a motion to approve the retaining wall as shown on the site plan. Did you date stamp this site plan somewhere, Diane? Yep, November 1st.
Yeah.
Okay, so approve the retaining wall as shown on the site plan. But in addition to that, and they can start construction on the retaining wall, but before construction starts on the home, the 2 lots have to be combined. So hopefully that can happen before the end of November, but we'll see what you can accomplish.
Yeah, I will make the phone call immediately upon hanging up. So,
Okay, would either one of you be willing to make that motion?
Sure. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Rob Staples, second by Max Pierce. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, voting was unanimous. Thanks for taking the time to join us by phone, Steve, and thanks in advance for working to get that parcel cleared up. So,
yeah, thank you for your guys' patience with this. We'll get it taken care of.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
okay. That ends our agenda items. unless somebody else has something that they want to bring up that we need to put on a future agenda, the only thing I would like to say is that we will still be an administrative land use authority. We will still be looking at certain conditional uses and commercial site plans, those type of things. But these hazard sensitive area conditional uses are no longer. So we will not be reviewing these types of conditional uses very often in the future. There may be an occasion, but it will be very seldom. So that being said, that's because the code changed and in the future, we will be doing a little bit different. So that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Rob Stapley, second by Max Pierce, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.